Good morning and welcome back to another week. To start us off, I thought we could just do some actions to try to get our wiggles out and get us warmed up. Okay, ready? We're going to jump 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tap our head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wave our arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Spin 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did you guys have to switch directions too like me? Let's see, can we tap or touch our toes 5 times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how about 5 jumping jacks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And end off with just being crazy. And let's take a deep breath. Let it out. And now, we might be ready to listen. Today, Pastor Mike is talking about King Nebuchadnezzar's dream and his response to it. So, as we remember, King Nebuchadnezzar, he had a dream, and all of his wise men, they couldn't tell him what it meant. And so King Nebuchadnezzar asked Daniel to tell him what the meaning of this really tall tree was. And in his dream, King Nebuchadnezzar had seen this really, really tall tree, and it reached all the way up to heaven. And it was in the very center of the earth, and it was strong and beautiful, and it had lots of fruit on it, so that everyone had enough food to eat. It had birds that lived in its branches. It had a place to rest. And it had animals that lived in its shade as well. And it was just a really great tree. But in his dream, a messenger came from heaven and chopped the tree down. So it is no more except for the stump. So that's like the little piece that sticks up out of the ground. But as you can see, the rest of the trunk and the top, it's all gone. And the roots still remained underneath the ground. And King Nebuchadnezzar, he may have already had a pretty good idea of what this dream meant, but he needed to hear it from someone else. And Daniel told him that King Nebuchadnezzar was this tree. And just like the tree went from being powerful and beautiful and strong and helping and everyone was benefiting from the tree, it was cut down. And King Nebuchadnezzar, if he didn't repent, because King Nebuchadnezzar, he believed that the reason he was so powerful and so strong and so mighty and able to help all of these people in his kingdom, and that his kingdom was like the best kingdom, was because of everything that King Nebuchadnezzar was doing. He took all of the credit, and he thought it was him and him alone. And he didn't give the credit to God, who allows all things. And Daniel had urged him to repent and to acknowledge that God was the one in control. And he advised him to stop sinning, so stop being prideful and arrogant and taking credit for everything good. But you know what? Just like we all have a choice on whether we're going to obey God or not obey God, King Nebuchadnezzar had a choice. And he decided, no, he didn't want to give God the credit and the glory for how well Babylon was. And a year later, King Nebuchadnezzar was out and he was looking around, and he said, look how great Babylon is. I built it as my capital city to display all my power. might, glory, and majesty. That's being paraphrased from verse 30 in chapter 4 in Daniel. And you know what happened? Because King Nebuchadnezzar didn't give God the credit and the glory, and he decided to keep sinning, to keep doing what God didn't want him to do. The dream came true, and King Nebuchadnezzar went from a person to being like a wild animal, or like an ox. And King Nebuchadnezzar was immediately taken away from the people, put out into the wild, and he ate grass just like a wild animal or an ox would, and he had the dew fall on him, so that's like the moisture that shows up on the ground, and his hair grew really long as eagle feathers, and his nails grew long as bird claws, and he thought he was an animal for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Just like the dream said it would if he hadn't repented. But God, he gave him a second chance. After 7 years, just like in the dream, King Nebuchadnezzar, who was like a wild animal, at the end of those 7 years, he looked up to heaven, and he knew that God was the one in control. And this is from verse 37 in Daniel chapter 4. Nebuchadnezzar said, "And now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise, honor, and glorify the King of heaven. Everything he does is right and just, and he can humble anyone who acts proudly." King Nebuchadnezzar realized that God is the one in control, that God gives and takes away, and he can humble and elevate anyone. And God didn't make King Nebuchadnezzar an animal to be mean to him. But that was the lesson that King Nebuchadnezzar needed to learn. And you and I might have different lessons that we need to learn, because God does give us a choice whether or not we want to obey him. But you know what? There are consequences. Every choice we make has a good or can have a bad consequence to it. And King Nebuchadnezzar's consequence for not obeying God and giving God the credit and the glory was that he became like a wild animal. And the really cool part, though, is that after 7 years, when King Nebuchadnezzar gave God the glory and the credit and realized that God is the one to be praised and that he's the only true God, King Nebuchadnezzar, he got his kingdom back. And it was even stronger than before. And after this, King Nebuchadnezzar, he knew who was really in control. And so, just like King Nebuchadnezzar, we all have a choice. God doesn't want us to be robots. That's why he lets us make decisions. But know that if God is asking you to stop doing something, he only has your best in mind. And when we obey God, we can show others his truth and love for them even that much more. To end off with, we're going to sing 2 songs. Our first song is "How Great Is Our God." How great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God, and all the world will see. How great is our God. How great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God, and all the world will see. How great is our God. last one is, my God is so big. Ready? My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do for you. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do for you. The mountains are His, the rivers are His, the stars are His handiwork too. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do for you. And you, and you, and you, and you, and you. I hope you all have a really great week. And I'll see you this way soon next time. Bye for now.